Hello and welcome again to this channel, Callista's Classroom. If you're an old subscriber, I say thank you for staying tuned. And if you're a new subscriber, I say welcome. Now, this video is for you if you are a 2024 UTME candidate. Yes, and if you're watching this video currently, you would know that you have just 1 week and 2 days left. You heard me correct. 1 week and 2 days left. Now, without wasting much time, the essence of this video is to know how well you have been studying and how much or how deep you have gone in your studies. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, the essence of this video is to evaluate how well you have studied so far. You are left with just a week and 2 days to go. Now, you might have different methods of studying, but how well have you been studying? Have you been studying in the right direction? This video is for you. It is going to help you know how well, or rather evaluate your studying method so far. You might have different studying methods that works best for you. You might enroll in a lesson, you might increase your personal studying hours, you might study different textbooks, and of course, you might also be studying your past question. But all these are actually good. But if you are not doing it in line with the JAMB syllabus in biology, then you are getting it wrong, because this video is particularly for those biology students who have registered the subject UTME biology and UTME examination. So without wasting much time, let us go right into what I have today. I actually have 3 sections of this video. The first one talks about biology area of focus 1, the second one biology area of focus 2, and the last will lead us into some past questions. Now, biology area of focus 1, I'm here to tell you that the JAMB syllabus in biology has 22 topics. Yes, but the good thing about this is that these 22 topics has been grouped or summarized into 5 themes or 5 groups. Now, what are these groups? The first is what we have, number 1, variety of organisms. Now, variety of organisms talks about topics that would group organisms. Remember, in the beginning part of biology, the first topic there talks about living and non-living things, and then it looks right into the characteristics of living things. It goes on further to the branch of biology we call the systematics, which is grouped into two, taxonomy and then the binomial system of naming organisms. And the binomial system of naming organisms, where we know that Carolus Linnaeus came to give organisms 2 names, which is what we refer to as binomial system of nomenclature, or the binomial nomenclature. Then in taxonomy, which simply means classifying to group, that is where organisms were now classified, grouped into 5 kingdoms. Kingdom Monera, the most primitive; Kingdom Protista, divided into 2, the protozoans and the protophyta; Kingdom Fungi, Kingdom Plantae, and Kingdom Animalia. Now, knowing the characteristics of organisms and different organisms found in this kingdom will do you more good, especially when you study their aspects under variety of organisms. And once you studied variety of organisms, just know that you have covered these topics I just listed: the taxonomy, living things, their classification, and of course their characteristics. Number 2, there's the second group, is what we call form and functions. Now, form and functions structure of the organs inside an organism, a living organism. It could be a plant, an animal, it could be a bacteria, cell. Now, it tells you what it has and what it does in order to carry out its function, meaning different organs and the organ system they form. For example, you know that the stomach is an organ and it is found in what system? Digestive system. The lungs rather, is an organ and it is found in what system? The respiratory. So when you look at these organs and the way they function, you are now talking about form and functions. That is number 2. You can also find form and functions when you look at under the cell and its environment. The thing every cell should carry out, that is the characteristics of a living thing, which a cell would normally carry out. Without wasting much time, let us dive right into number 3, the third group, which is ecology. Now, ecology talks about the environment, studying the environment, the abiotic and the abiotic and the biotic factors, putting into play their relationship. It goes on to study population, how to conduct the population studies, how to collect specimens, the transect method, the quadrant method. It also goes down to go ahead and talk about the source of energy in the environment, which we know is the what? Primary source is the sun. It talks about who uses the sun the most, the producers, the green plants, how they produce this food, pass it on to the consumers, and then the decomposers would finally feed on dead material. Talks about how this energy conversion keeps on undergoing, because we know that energy is neither created nor destroyed, but keeps on being converted from one form to another. This same topic talks about the pyramid of energy, decomposition in nature, the nutrient cycle, where we have the nitrogen cycle, water cycle, carbon cycle, and so on. Now, we move on to the next topic. It also talks about, still on ecology, biomes, the local biomes in Nigeria ranging from tropical rainforest to savanna to also called savanna or grassland, and then the arid land or desert. We also talk about the major biomes, but under JAMB level, you don't have much concentration on the major biomes. You just have concentration on local biomes in Nigeria. It is when you look at the YX level that you have major biomes like the tundra, the alpines, and the rest. So you shouldn't bother yourself with major biomes when you are reading for this JAMB UTME 2024. So let's go to the next group, number 4. Number 4 talks about hereditary. Now, in heredity or hereditary, but what I have on the board is heredity. Now, in heredity, it just talks about the variations, the different variations, types of variations, what could bring about variations and differences in organisms, especially when you see variations among siblings of the same parents. It also talks about the types of variation, physiological and morphological. It goes on to talk about adaptive features. It goes on to talk about things like those topics like genetics. Yes, because it's related. So how traits are inherited, the inheritance patterns are brought about by Mendelian studies, and then it goes on to also talk about some sex-linked traits and characters. Then once you are done with that topic, you know that these topics, you know you've covered number 4, which is heredity. Then number 5, the last group, evolution. Now topics under evolution are topics ranging from Charles Darwin theory, Jean Lamarck's theory, and then evidence of evolution. What are those things that would suggest that actually evolution has occurred over 200,000 of years ago? Things like fossil records, things like embryology, things like molecular biology, comparative analysis. All these things are the records that will show that actual evolution has occurred. So when someone reads on those topics, you know you're covered. Now, with these things I've said, you can really ascertain if you have actually covered so far in whatever studying method you've been using. Yes, because if you've covered these topics under these 5 groups, whether through studying textbooks or past question or your lesson or any kind of maybe your personal reading, then believe you me, you are good to go. Now let us dive right into the second section of this video. Stay tuned. Alright, welcome back. Now let us dive right into the second section, which is biology area of focus 2. Now the next thing I want to talk about is past question booklet. Now, there is actually a secret to that. Listen again. There is a secret to that. When you read your past question over and over, there is a tendency you're going to cover those 5 groups and those 22 topics under them. But how well are you sure you're going to? It all boils down to covering a substantial amount of years, like JAMB written, UTME written examination over the years, covering previous years, not just 1 year or last year. Believe you me, when you cover like 15 years, 10 years, 15 years or more, then you're actually good to go. That is what I have on the board. Study past questions for the selected topics from the 5 things that JAMB syllabus in biology is divided. Remember, JAMB repeats 60% of previous questions. Now let us not waste any further time and dive right into the third section. But before I say something, there's a little tip I want to give you. Now, welcome back. Just before I went on that break, I told you that there is a little tip I have for you. Now that tip is how you would answer some questions. Whenever you are going through a question, just before we dive right into the past questions segment, there are some things you need to check. If a question is popped out, how do you answer it? Now, there are 2 methods that are vital I want to just mention in this video. Other method I will mention as time goes on, just before your examination. The first method is if you are given a question and you do not know the answer, or you are confused, let's use that one because you have to have an idea. But let's say you're confused of the option. You eliminate the 2 options that are actually out of place. Then you are left with 2. Remember, this is an exam that has 4 subjects for 2 hours, so you need to be time conscious. But even though you're time conscious, you still do not need to be too fast that you read the questions out of meaning. Now what do you do with the remaining 2 options? You can now narrow down the answer based on the knowledge you have, because of course you should have been prepared for your examination. Now the second tip is non-words. Taking note of words, conditional words or conditional statements like if not, or which of the following is not, that kind of take notes, because if you don't read it, you omit it and give that question a totally different meaning. So let's dive right and use this tip to answer some questions. We'll be right back. Alright, welcome back. Now, like I said, we are diving right into the third section of this video, which is solving past questions. And we are going to look at some past questions from previous years. This particular question I brought out from the year 2023, that was last year. Now, the essence of solving these past questions is to make sure I pick questions that will come out from each of these 5 groups or 5 themes that the JAMB syllabus in biology have been narrowed down into, which is just what I spoke about in the section of this video. So let us dive right into solving some questions. Number 1, let's go. Number 1 says, which of the following is a difference between plant cell and animal cell? Now, before we answer this, I would like you to have a reflection. Yes, pause it for a moment and think of where I said this question came out from. What group? Is it 1 that talks about variety of organisms, or 2 that talks about form and functions, or 3 that talks about ecology, or 4 which is hereditary, or 5 which is evolution? Think. Now you will find out that this question right here is a question that came out from the first one, which is what variety of forms, variety of organisms rather. And a variety of organisms I told you talks about living and non-living things. When you talk about the way they behave, living things, their characteristics, which tells you the way they behave. And then it goes down to talk about the kingdom, Plantae and Animalia, the differences between them. Yes. So let's go back to the question. Yes. So it says, which of the following is a difference between plant cell and animal cell? Option A says plant cells have a nucleus while animal cells do not. Now, what is a nucleus? A nucleus, we know, is that cell organelle, yes, that little structure inside the cell that helps to store hereditary information and carries controls rather the functions of other cell organelle. Now, both plant cell and animal cell have the nucleus. It's actually in this nucleus that cellular division occurs, and the two types of cellular division we know are mitotic cell division, which we call mitosis, and meiotic cell division. Do you understand? So that tells you that because these two, both plant and animals carry out this, so therefore they both have nucleus. So option A is not the answer. Let's look at option B. Option B says plant cells have a cell membrane while animal cells do not. Is that true? Now, it should be the other way around, that plant cells do not have cell membrane. Rather, they have a cell wall. Then the animal cell are the ones that have a cell membrane. Now, what is a membrane? A membrane is like a nylon-like material or a structure that helps to cover up something. It covers something and prevents another thing from passing through. Now, the membrane in a cell will always act as that material that tends to select what passes through, what goes into and goes out of the cell. If you remember your explanation of osmosis, it passes movement of molecules through what, particularly liquid molecules, through a selective permeable what, membrane. So the plant cell is structured to have a membrane and the animal cell does not have. It's actually the cell wall that the plant cell has, while the animal cell does not have a cell wall, but the animal cell has a what? Cell membrane rather. Do you understand? And that cell wall of a plant cell gives it its what? It helps to give it its shape. It helps to bring about its what? Rigidity, support. It gives the plant support. So let's move right into the next option. Option C. Option C says plant cell contains chloroplast for photosynthesis, while animal cells do not. Is this correct? True, it is very correct. Now, plants are known to produce what? Food through a process we call photosynthesis, and they can do this with the help of a particular what structure in them they call the what chloroplast, which stores the chlorophyll. And this chlorophyll enables them to what? Get energy from the sun, which they can now use for what? The two phases of photosynthesis. Do you understand? While in animal cells, they don't have that what? Chloroplast. Neither do they have the what? The chlorophyll. So that is the answer. Option C is the answer. Then let us look at the last option just to explain. Plant cells have a central vacuole while animal cells have multiple small vacuoles. Now, plant cells actually have a central vacuole, but they have a large central vacuole. While animal cells do not have multiple small vacuoles. What animal cell has is just a small vacuole, not multiple. And the plant cell has a large one because that vacuole in the plant cell performs two functions. One is excretion of waste, liquid waste, and the other one is what? Giving support and most especially bringing about what? Storage of food in the food vacuole. Do you understand? So with that being said, number one question. With that being said, now let us dive right into question number 2. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Thanks if you have watched this video up to this moment. I say kudos to you, and I so wish you're going to subscribe. Please hit the subscription button, and please also turn on that notification bell so that you can always get notified whenever I drop videos like this. I also drop videos concerning anything biology related to explain them in simplified terms, whether it's just biology as a topic or anything. Like if you check my last video, you will notice I explained something that has to do with dominance, an aspect of dominance in genetics. Now here is me explaining some things you need to know in this UTME 2024 examination. So do well to please turn on the notification bell so that you can also always get notified. And I wish you're going to stay tuned. I wish you're going to watch this channel often, and I wish you are going to be one of my big fans that is going to be out there learning one or two, telling a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to subscribe, and also going to stick to this channel for more interesting and simplified biology videos. Thanks for watching, and thanks for staying tuned up to this moment. See you in my next video, and bye.